Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Good evening. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about thoughts of a farmer. Something I've been very concerned about here coming up the last few months, and it's really starting to turn into quite a problem, and I expect it to be a problem on a large scale. Normally I don't get in much into politics and world affairs and so on, but what's happening here is inflation. I'm, I guess we'd say, a product of the 70s, and I remember on the home farm the effects of high inflation, runaway gasoline and fuel prices, crashing in other commodity, like beef dropped in price, corn went up in price. There was a lot of turmoil, and extremely high interest rates and all that occurred during that time of very high inflation. I still remember prices. You had to call, get prices, and get something ordered as soon as possible. Well, it seems like the 70s are back. Without the bell bottoms and the great music, we're back to these runaway prices, and we're starting to feel it on the farm, and we're starting to make a lot of decisions here based on where we should put our money for the future, because we think we may not be able to afford many items that we use without raising our prices, and it's something we're very concerned with. We'd like to maintain since we produce high-grade human consumption food, we need to keep our prices under control. So we're just looking at, we had a small building project coming up here, and lumber prices as of last week are up 265% from a year ago. That's astronomical. I mean, the lumber that I have in the barn right now was bought at much less than even that. Probably 350% increase from when I purchased that lumber a couple years ago. We have enough to partially get ourselves through. The next area is we're planning on putting up a high tunnel. I was very fortunate. I kind of had I guess would say that gut feeling. So a little ahead of the financing on the project, I went ahead and ordered, and I was able to get in on the original price. But a high tunnel, greenhouse that we plant in, is made up predominantly of steel and some wood, and of course the plastic. Steel has gone up significantly, and we were fortunate enough to get the down payment on it and get it ordered. Otherwise it'd be additional thousands of dollars out of my pocket that technically we don't have. So we were able to get that ordered in, and we're waiting on delivery here shortly. Again, shortages, plastics, that's going to impact. We know that it's coming, so we're not terribly worried, but the plastic goes on top of the high tunnel. But I've talked to a lot of the farmers that use bale wrap, and that's wrapping the round bales, square bales, silage, all of that is in the same thing. Their plastic availability, you got to order it, pardon me, you have to order it in advance, and nobody's guaranteeing the prices. So another example of the 1970s with runaway inflation. That was really a painful time during inflationary cycles. And the biggest thing that I was alluding to there, not only the cost, but the disruption of the supply chain. As we've seen last year when we had the beginning of the sickness there, things got in tight supply, never really got that bad. Everybody remembers the great toilet paper catastrophe. Now we're in a situation that is starting to affect real world commodities. I was just going through a whole list here. Things that we are using or will be using. We're planning on putting a renewable energy project, and we're putting solar in. So that's all staged, and again, I have a firm price on it, but that follows the silver market, something I guess I'm invested in myself. But we look at the cost of silver and in relationship to putting in solar panels. The next big one is copper. You know, I use a lot of copper fittings or brass fittings on the farm here, and then we do a fair amount of wiring. It's still going on, and I got a fence project. And the coppers that's going to go into that is now another additional cost. So another thing we're fighting, and this is just all my own little personal thing, not a car company, not a big international whatever. I'm just a little farmer, and I'm starting to look at the effects of these costs. The other one I looked at is sugar. Now, personally, we don't consume hardly any sugar whatsoever, but my fields do. You might snicker a little bit, but we actually, with the biologicals we put on the field, we use a product called MS Crystals. It's a super high grade sugar cane sugar, its purest form, and that's to feed the little buggers, and as they're getting introduced to the plants of the soil. That's their food source during that transition. So we go through a fair amount of sugar, and I just ordered up that supply. It comes in 50-pound bags, and the price went up over 50%. So again, across the board, it's just absolutely crazy. Now, we're not big in using commercial, we don't use commercial fertilizers. We use everything that's OMRI listed and organic, and of course that's gone up significantly. But I was looking at nitrogen-based fertilizer where they use natural gas. Natural gas is up 43%, and availability of the fertilizers, especially nitrogen, looks like that might be a little bit in tight supply. What I'm most concerned with is actually this supply chain disruption. If one critical component is out of whack during either raising of the crops, raising of the livestock, distribution of such, we could have a real calamity on our hands. So I'm really not going anywhere particular with this because I don't have a solution to this problem, but I recognize it. And all we've been able to do is probably throw gasoline on a fire as we're recognizing a problem, identifying what we can purchase now and that is available without not spending your money on any luxuries whatsoever, but just strictly focusing on the necessities to keep our farming operation going. You know, local food is something I think all of us are going to have to think a lot more about. I'm planning on doing a video upcoming on the quantity of food that the wife and I consume, grown specifically on the farm or raised, and then into the local area, then statewide and nationwide and international. And you'd be shocked, even when you have the best of the best like we have here, we still are dependent on these very long supply lanes. From our food that we eat to everything that I'm using on the farm. So it's a concern, and I just advise everybody to look around, I guess, make some good rational decisions. You know, don't stockpile toilet paper like last year. But if you think you're going to be needing something, I said we put together a master list in an Excel file and weighting everything, putting a value on everything that we're going to be ordering up so we have a good supply. But we don't run short, and imagine that, not to be able to you know, I would say take care of our livestock properly or distribute our products properly. So it's a concern. Well, I want to thank you for giving me an ear to speak into, and have a most wonderful evening.